All right, let's get into striker of the week. And we're going to talk to our resident number 9 about this. Now, Patrick Agyemang, as I mentioned before, takes his tally to 8 goals and 3 assists for the season. That's tied with Haji Wright on 11 goal contributions in the championship. Haji's got 10 goals and 1 assist. First question, I guess, Chuck. Do you still have Haji Wright above Agyemang in the pecking order?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Appreciate that. Quick answer. Now, I want to go pivot, because Luciano Spalletti, the manager of Juventus, who just came off a fantastic 3-0 win over the defending champions in Serie A, Napoli, this past weekend, and I thought Weston was, again, very good. Spalletti, though, said this, and this is a quote. He's a perfect center forward. This is what he says. McKennie would be the perfect center forward. He's one of the best there is in this role because he's always where the ball is. He fights for every ball. He's good in the air because he has this impressive leap, and he attacks the space in behind like nobody else. So we don't only have Jonathan David, we also have Weston McKennie, who does a bit of everything and does it well. Luciano Spalletti just called Weston McKennie the perfect center forward. Your thoughts, Charlie Davies?
Would be the perfect center forward, right? Key word there. But no, I think, again, we talk about Weston and how many different positions he can play and play well. We've seen him excel as a right wing back. We've seen him excel as a defensive center midfielder. We've seen him now excel as an attacking center midfielder. And in the last game that Juve had, where him and Jonathan David combined, I think it was the last Champions League match. What we've seen now Weston be able to do is play with his back to goal and play as a second center forward. Now, of course, he's great in the air. We always talk about the timing that he has, how dangerous he is on set pieces. But I think when we're talking about as a center forward, a striker, a little bit of an overreaction. But what we're seeing is his ability to play high up the pitch and make runs off the ball, and also be confident with the ball at his feet. So again, now it's really starting to get clearer for us, the player playing next to Christian Pulisic, which will be Weston McKennie at this stage. So again, a player who can score goals in different ways. He's so flexible in that position. We know he can track back and defend on the counter. We've seen him do it with Juve in big moments. So I'm excited about his progress.
And the guy even played a little center back at Schalke when he was back in Germany back in the day. So clearly,
but if you told Spalletti, hey, compare Weston McKennie to Victor Osimhen when he had him with Napoli when they won the Scudetto, I think there's a difference in terms of pace and what a striker gives you. But ultimately, what a compliment from a really top respected coach in the game of football.
It's almost like he wants Weston to get more money in his contract every week.
Yeah,
Luciano Spalletti continues to sing his praises, Big Tones. And I think what's interesting is, as Weston McKennie starts to emerge as more of an attacking threat for us, we can start to see him in a more of an attacking role as we head into the summer. This is also now, Gio Reyna was hurt this past weekend, didn't play for Borussia Mönchengladbach. You have Malik Tillman, who's now been resigned to having to come off the bench the last couple games. Very good coming into. So Bayer Leverkusen is his German team. He started that last game before the winter break. They beat RB Leipzig away from home 4-1. He was very good. After that game, coming out of the winter break, they lost their first 2 coming out of it. He started those 2. The next 2, he's been coming off the bench. I don't think he's going to start in the Champions League on Wednesday. So now, as Weston emerges, you have a couple other players that he is, quote unquote, competing against, having a little bit of a step back. And that's just making Weston, at least for me, his status even stronger.
I feel like this could be a weekly quote, but just change the position, right? He could be the perfect left wing. He's always there where the ball is. He fights for every ball. He's good in the air, like all the things. He could be a really good, right wing back, and it just changes by week. But to your guys' point, having a manager like this, I'm just amazed by like the turnaround, the 180 over the last 3 years, where managers were finding reasons to the point where they took his parking spot away at one point in preseason. And now I got to imagine that they are trying to do everything possible to sign him to a new deal.
Right. Okay, so the question is, going right to you, resident number 9. Mm-hmm. Who is CONCACAF's best striker right now? Is it Jonathan David, who's turned it up as well? Okay, he's got 6 goals and 4 assists for Juve. You got Raul Jimenez at Fulham, 5 goals and 3 assists in 22 appearances. Fuller and Balogun, 10 goals and 2 assists for Monaco in 24 appearances. Ricardo Pepi, I know he's hurt, but had 11 goals and 2 assists prior to that happening in limited minutes, by the way. He does a really good job of maximizing his opportunities. And then we got to throw Weston McKennie in there. Spalletti says he's our perfect striker, but he's got 4 goals and 2 assists, Weston McKennie, in his last 12 matches. So clearly upping his game on the attacking side.
What you didn't also mention is that it is a little bit of an indictment on Jonathan David, those quotes that Spalletti gave, in terms of you're taking a midfielder, predominantly a midfielder, and Weston McKennie, and saying, hey, he could be the perfect striker because he does X, Y, Z extremely well. And Jonathan David, he can't check into the midfield. He can't play with a defender on his back. So you're kind of thinking, this is a striker. That's what he's supposed to do. That's why
he's like throwing shade at Jonathan.
And yeah, he was throwing shade at Jonathan David. So you're kind of like, whoa. I think that's a complex question, and typically it's about the best striker at the moment, who's the hottest striker versus which striker has the most potential or the most quality. So in terms of experience, Raul Jimenez is probably the most experienced striker in CONCACAF. I mean, it's no doubt he is. What he's asked to do for Mexico, he's got to be the goal scorer for Mexico, and someone who does it for Fulham when called upon. I think when you're talking about the most potential, I still think it's Flair and Balogun in the mix of the most potential in terms of striker, because he's gifted in a lot of different ways, and his technique. And then Jonathan David, again, there's so much when you look at Jonathan David in terms of being a poacher, being in the right spot, making good runs. But I think with Canada, Jesse Marsh hadn't used him, I think, to maximize his ability in front of goal, because he's often dropping so deep, and therefore you're taking away what's Jonathan David's best at, which is scoring and being in the box. And the same thing with Juve. I think they weren't using him the right way. Now that he's playing higher up the pitch and now not asked to come and check in and deep, as Spalletti so well put it, that he's not the best at holding off players, that you're starting to see him thrive. So I'd say at the moment, the best striker in CONCACAF is probably Raul Jimenez, if I had to put a name in that category. But again, it's who's healthy, who's scoring goals, who's playing 90 minutes, who's counted on in those big moments. But there isn't a clear cut, hey, this is the best guy by far.
All right. I like that analysis. Jonathan David did score against Napoli this past weekend. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 games, Serie A games, I should say. Big tones. Fuller and Balogun has not scored for Monaco since December 9th, when he came on as a sub and scored the winner against Galatasaray in the Champions League. So a little bit of I don't say rut sounds dramatic, but a dry spell. Dry spell sounds better for Balogun, and hopefully.
But if you're looking at the last 4 games for Monaco in Ligue 1, he's played Marseille, he's played Lyon, Lorient, and Larve, and he had an assist against Lyon. And Lyon, by the way, is absolutely flying. Endrick has come, and he's been an absolute nightmare for teams. So again, you're looking at this Lyon side, I'm like, man, I think they're going to win Europa League. That's how much confidence I see within this group. And now you add him with Pavel Suka up top. And Tessman has been great in the midfield. He's still counted on by Fonseca. So, woof.
Yeah, I was excited. I know Tessman was a little bit in and out of the lineup, but now he seems like he's being trusted again to kind of lock down that midfield. And now with Endrick, who's just scored a hat trick this past weekend, they're flying right now. But Tones, I wanted your thoughts on do you agree with Raul Jimenez being the CONCACAF?
I think Jimmy had put it in buckets, right? Like if I had 2 qualifying games this week to win, I would use Raul Jimenez as my striker. And if I wanted to build something, maybe a little bit longer term right now, I think Balogun would be the guy that I would probably lean towards, right? Because I think there's so much upside to him, and he continues to get better. But I don't think Ricardo Pepi's too far behind any of these guys. of course injured right now, but he's got such an upside. He's got a nose for goal. He's getting better. He's getting bigger. He's getting stronger, getting better at hold up play. You mentioned though, Jonathan David's hold up play was the one thing the guys on the broadcast talked about this weekend. This is about as good a hold up play as they've seen from Jonathan David, which probably Chuck helped them get the result, obviously, that they got, which was a massive result. So maybe you hear those words and now you're like, man, shoot, I got to clean that part of my game up a bit if I'm going to continue to play here at a club like this. So good for him, though, because he's been battered, man. He's been battered at Juventus because goal scorer is going to be judged on one thing, right? And that's scoring goals. And now at least 3 in the last 4. But yeah, I would think at the moment still Raul Jimenez is the most dangerous guy in CONCACAF.
Tony, there's a lot of people in the comments right now going, there's no harder striker than Ajiman. Yeah, but you know, what's funny is, Ajiman is
hotter, like by numbers. Is that what they're?
Well, you say 2 goals in 3 games, 2 goals and assists in 3 games. Haji Wright hasn't been at his best, but he's got 2 goals in 3 games. So you know, it's all in the the perspective, right? The eye of the beholder. So for me, you know, again, it's the championship, and let's not forget Josh Sargent was in Team of the Year last year. So
yeah, it's a good point.
It's really hard to make that argument because I know there's a lot of people say, hey, the championship, but it's the championship. There are levels to this. There are levels to this. It's the same thing if someone said, hey, Brian White is scorching hot in Major League Soccer. Like, okay, you know, there are levels. That's all I'm gonna say.
A championship and MLS taking some strays right here.
Who was it that got Charlie to make the statement? The champion, who pulled the championship statement? I got to give that person credit.
Tony hitting the mute button accidentally. Charlie giving championship some strays. Oh, look at you. You got to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. So if you want more average to good content, then you know where to go find it. Go peruse our channel, then hit like, then hit subscribe, and of course, turn on your notifications so that you never miss a show. We'll see you next time.